Yeah, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode in season 3 of Stories of Life and Love. And I am really excited to introduce my special guest today, JV Crum III of the Conscious Millionaire podcast and coaching platform. And we will have JV introduce himself, but hello, JV, and welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much, Evelisa, and hello to everybody, because I'm here really for you. And what I want to do is just connect. Let's all have a conversation together. The fact that we may not be talking back and forth with each other doesn't mean we can't be thinking back and forth with one another. And what I want to do is really address, if you're a CEO, you're an entrepreneur, you're a creative, and you want to make a difference in the world. That's really what Conscious Millionaire is about. We help entrepreneurs and coaches, founders of companies build high profit businesses that are making a positive impact, making a difference. And that difference comes out of you. It starts with what's your sense of purpose. Why do you want to build the business you're building? Why do you want to create change in the world? Because all great businesses positively impact their clients. And I believe at this point, all great businesses in some way positively impact society, positively impact the world. We have the greatest opportunity as entrepreneurs to create positive change on this planet.
That is a great overview, JV. And I think it speaks for itself why I am so delighted to have you on this show, because you exist at the intersection of abundance, high value, and high positive impact in this world, being very mission driven. And I'm really excited for our audience to get to know a little bit more about you and how you came to this vision. So if you could tell us a little bit about who JV is now and how did you get here? How did you get to focusing on that consciousness and millionaire status?
Well, there are lots of ways we could approach this. So why don't we just start with who I am now? So who I am now, I'm a host of the Conscious Millionaire Show. It's a podcast and syndicated radio show. We're just about to start our 7th season. We've got over 2,200 episodes, and we're fortunate enough to be heard by 12 million people in 190 countries. So that's part of who I am and where I am right now. I coach, I mentor, I advise entrepreneurs in the 5, 6, and 7 stage. We have group programs, we have private programs. My goal is to impact and positively help 1 million entrepreneurs to build their high impact, high profit businesses, become conscious millionaires, and be making their difference in the world. So who I am is someone, every day I meditate. Every day I seek higher guidance. Every day I look for new ways that I can help people and positively impact the world. And those are the people I hang out with. And it's an exciting journey that I'm on. I feel very, very fortunate to be in the place that I am and to be able to make a difference in other people's lives, not just want to, but that I can. That to me is the greatest joy for me personally.
Of course. And were you more directed by the mission and the consciousness side, or was it more the business and supporting entrepreneur side? What were you more led by, and what emerged naturally through your process?
That's a fantastic question. And it's really fantastic because every person I work with touches on those 2 parameters of conscious and millionaire, so conscious and money, differently. It's unique for each person, and it's dynamic. So someone may come into the conscious millionaire world and they may be more leveraged over to conscious, and over time they realize, oh, well, if I'm not profitable, I can't really build and make as big of an impact. And then what happens is that I work with people, and through our programs, we work with people to transform both the entrepreneur, the coach, the CEO, the founder as a person, and transform their business. And what happens is this becomes, in many ways, a spiritual and healing journey, because that actually is what has to happen, is that a lot of times people who are focused on the give part
Yes.
haven't done any work on the receive, 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 open and let it in. And
Mhm.
so they're constantly not able to build their business to the level that they would have otherwise. And so by helping them remove those blocks, they're actually able to be much more successful as an entrepreneur, touch more people's lives, make more money, and finally allow themselves out of all of this to receive and let that part of their life develop. So in my case, I grew up in a very financially challenged family. We didn't know where the money was coming from. We didn't know where the food was coming from. In a little country town of maybe 200 to 300 people, and at age 5, I decided I was going to grow up and be a millionaire.
At age
Skipping forward
5, you just
at
knew.
5, well, I knew because we didn't have any money, and I was determined to figure out a solution to
Mm,
why I couldn't go to the grocery store and get a candy bar because my parents said we didn't have the money to pay for it.
yeah.
So that sent me going, I'm not going to live like this. And I started thinking bigger. So we skip over hours worth of details. At 25, I was moving into a new home on the water, 4 stories, Mercedes in the garage, had become a millionaire. And within 3 months, Evelisa, one day I was on the bay, palm trees in my front lawn, sailboats out in the bay. And I said, something's wrong with this picture. Now, mind you, this is what I'd been dreaming about since I was 5,
Yeah.
because I bought into the millionaire piece that we're told, especially in the United States, I think more than any other place in the country, but we have managed to spread it around the world, that if you just have enough money,
Hmm.
and especially if you just become a millionaire, somehow everything else is going to work. And that was my, meltdown day when I said openly to myself in my living room by myself, looking out all my glass into the bay. And I said, something's wrong with this picture. I don't even like myself. I'm horrible at relationships and my life doesn't work.
Wow.
I actually used a few other words. And that happened in 60 seconds. And that set me off on another journey altogether. So I first made the money piece,
Yes.
and now I went after the conscious piece.
Yeah.
So I went to sweat lodges. I went to Tony Robbins, to Wayne Dyer. I was looking for what's the missing part to my life. And of course, what I ultimately determined was that I wasn't living with purpose. I
Hmm.
was just figuring out how to make some money.
Yeah.
But I felt empty. I felt unfulfilled. I didn't feel like even what I did even mattered, that I
Mhm.
wasn't making any difference. And all of those things, it took a while to explore that. And then I ultimately sold those companies and went off to live at a Buddhist monastery. And that followed with me living at Esalen on the Big Sur coast, which is Human Potential Institute. And
Yes.
then I moved to Boulder, which is kind of like a big Buddhist monastery, human potential place that's very conscious. And I would go camping for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And I would literally have these conversations along the campfires in particular. And I'd go, so why am I here?
Hmm.
And then I'd go, to the universe was how I said, well, tell me, what am I supposed to do? I sold everything. Now, what am I supposed to do? And so ultimately, I went over and skied for 6 months, the winter season at Lake Tahoe. And while I was there, I had a revelatory experience in a hot tub.
Oh, wow.
And in my forehead, because I get a lot of my intuition visually, I saw the phrase conscious millionaire. Got
Wow.
a tingling in my spine. And I said, oh my gosh, that's it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. And I stayed in the hot tub another 40 minutes. But on the way from the hot tub to my computer, I said to myself, I just got my assignment. And of course, as you know, consciousmillionaire.com was sitting there waiting for me because nobody had ever thought of this.
Yeah. What
And
age
the
were you
truth
at that
is,
time?
neither did I.
How old were
Uh,
you at that time?
hold on just a second.
Bless you.
Come
Blessings.
back. I was 42.
Yeah.
And when I sold the companies, I was 41, and so this was about 44.
Yeah. It's a good
Yeah,
time. It's a good time.
yeah. And so I saw the vision that this was what I was supposed to do.
So it sounds like you were very open and surrendering. You were in that moment of surrender and just super vulnerable and asking for that clarity. And I'm actually, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's actually interesting because here I am taking the spiritual journey and meditating daily and feeling inspired. One of the things that I've learned about myself is that I tend to be very open and receptive to higher inspiration. And I tend to just say, yes, how quickly can we do this? And I think that's why Conscious Millionaire came to me. I think that's why the podcast, the book that was the number one book on all of Amazon, Conscious Millionaire, um, and a lot of doors right now are just opening. Like it's almost crazy. I'm having to work with myself right now. So much is coming to just let it all in
Yeah,
and go, well, I keep adding people to my team right now. And I go, this is going to take a lot of people who are going to be able to manage stuff because it's clear I can't be that guy.
of course.
It's clear that things are starting to grow in a way that I just know that it's going to be huge. 12 months from now, things are going to be very different. 2 to 3 years from now, it's going to be like a whole new world.
Mm-hmm.
And and I'm just being called to say yes. That's really my experience right now. Is
Yeah.
like inspiration comes and I go, yes, that seems like the next step. I'll take it.
It sounds like
Um,
very clear and in alignment with that direction, right? Those moments
yes,
of inspiration, your intuition.
yes, because my constant prayer, as it were, is how can I make a bigger impact on the world? How can I change more people's lives? How can I help move the world in the direction of becoming more conscious so everybody's winning and people are living their true potential, but not their true potential from the standpoint of how do I get my next award? My true potential on how do I touch people's lives and inspire them through my gifts and my service on this planet. That's what I inspire people to.
Mm-hmm. No, I love it. When we're thinking back towards this process, you describing this time in your life, a kind of fork in the road, and being very receptive and coming to you. As you've been on this journey, was there someone that really believed in you, or someone that was kind of like a mentor before you even fully saw the vision? And who was that person?
Yeah, it's Marianne and Ed Reese. So I studied NLP, neuro linguistic programming, back in the 80s and early 90s with all of the main people, Bandler, um, you know, um, just a large number of the people who were primary. And so they were two of those people.
Yeah.
And they lived about 45 minutes from me. So I took all their courses and every year studied with them. And they literally, in a way, took me under their wings and helped me develop.
Mm,
Without them, I would not be where I am today. And in fact, I'm very fortunate in that there are a number of people who've come into my life, mentored me, advised me, nurtured me, um, and helped me move to my next step.
and how did you find them, or how did they find you usually? Like, what advice would you give to younger entrepreneurs or people who are up and coming? How do they find?
Yeah, that's a great question. A large amount of synchronicity. A
Yes.
large amount of synchronicity. So my formula for getting in what I call the millionaire inner zone, I think it's a good time to just give that formula, is to be present in the moment, open to possibilities. Um, and that includes how you're going to get to the results you want. Like you may have your strategic plan, which I think is very wise, but then sometimes we throw them out the window.
Yeah.
I do. And then be authentic, be real. And I find that that's the formula. I teach it to people all over the world. And when people use that simple formula, all of a sudden they enter this flow zone and synchronicity, which is the coming together of events that are really right for you and ultimately for other people as well, just starts to happen. And I live in that place, and I've lived in that place for so long that the right people, the right resources, the right opportunities just constantly are showing up. But the thing is, your responsibility in that formula is to live, to open yourself through the present, open, authentic path.
Mm,
But when the opportunities come, to say yes and take action.
love
You
it.
know, I think when we talk about the law of attraction, it's something I know a great deal about. Uh, we have to become that emotion, become that vibratory level in order to attract that into our life, because like attracts like.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people go, okay, I'm going to attract all this great stuff, and I teach people how to do that. And I go, but there's another piece to this, and that's called the law of action. It's your responsibility to take action. So if you have inspiration, the next step is inspired action.
Inspired
It's
action.
not just to be inspired. It's
Yes.
like it's great to have all these insights and to connect with this sense of higher consciousness. But that means that you are now preparing to take the next step, which is to take action, inspired action, and to create inspired results. And that's how this works. I have a formula for creating wealth, and you'll see that it kind of mirrors that. The formula is 3 steps: conscious, become conscious of what you want, why it's important, who you need to have help you, conscious of the path to get there. And I find that so many entrepreneurs fail to excel because they don't spend any time at the conscious step, which is the most important step. That's the preparatory step. So you know where you're headed, why you're headed there, when you're going to get there, what that looks like, who's going to be on your team, and what is the path that you're going to take. And then focus. You've got to focus your mind, your heart, your body. You've got to be 100% focused on that one specific outcome that you consciously selected. And then you take action. And in short form, you take action, and only that action that will get you to the result. You get rid of everything else. And a lot of times at that step, when I'm coaching and advising people, they may get rid of 80% of what they were doing. Wow. It all sounded nice. Yes. It all looked nice on paper, but it was a waste of time. It was a waste of time because it wasn't getting them to the result they wanted. It was actually taking them off course.
So you take an inventory, you get very strategic. And
right. So we get a clarity of what steps are actually necessary and what order, and we just get rid of everything else.
That's incredible. And
so just abandon all else and just decide what it is you want, and then that's what you're going for.
Well, it sounds very pragmatic. It sounds very focused. And quick question, like you have this impressive caliber of clients working with CEOs, leaders, entrepreneurs to grow their business and make that difference in the world. But have you ever come across, and your own story was starting with that abundance?
Yeah, I think my own story is an Horatio Alger story. Just if that has meaning to you, you know what I'm talking about. And if not, go look up Horatio Alger, because there were a series of books that were basically from rags to riches is really what they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, what about people who might lead with the conscious part and they're lacking the money.
Yep, the money part.
Do you ever come across those people?
Yeah, I come across a lot of people like that. Yeah. And there is a pattern that oftentimes is occurring. And I talk about it in my book, and I call it the money purpose wound. So these people tend to be givers, and they're great givers. They're good heart. They've got amazing gifts, but they have not developed, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, their ability to receive. And oftentimes they have some ready to be done work. I think that's a nice way to look at it, on money, because somewhere along the line, they've got some negative views on money. I can tell you that however much money anybody has tells you their relationship to money. People who have a lot of money have a good relationship with money. People who don't have any have a rather bad relationship with money.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of what we're doing on this journey as entrepreneurs and a journey to becoming a conscious millionaire is also working out our relationship with money. That it's not only okay to have money, it's okay to charge more for what you're doing if it has more value than you're charging. And so I have to do a lot of that kind of work with people. In fact, the group I'm going to be doing in a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing some of that work right up front, because I know that everybody's going to need to do some of that work. And by the way, folks, when I say everybody, I do mean everybody, because all of us are on an endless journey. If we want to be more successful, want to have more impact, we're on an endless journey of letting go or allowing parts of ourselves to constantly die. That's the old part. And rebirthing ourselves in a new way, in a new perception of ourselves, in a new understanding about success, about money, about how you achieve that, about how you make more impact, and believing and experiencing that we can play at the next level. Here's the fun thing. There is no end to the next level. There always is a next level. So the truth is that we each get to choose. Do we want to keep playing to the next level? Do we at some point just want to stop at the level that we've come to, and that's where we want to abide? And I'm not judging either one of those decisions, right? But I am only pointing out there's always a next level, and the process of going from one level to the next level is always the same. We have to let go of who we were at the current level to perceive ourselves, to play at a different level, to look at opportunity, to vision possibility, to connect with other people and with whom we're going to connect, because that's also going to shift every time we go up level. Yeah. And so the more times we do that, the better we get at it. But it doesn't change the fact that what people talk about getting out of your comfort zone, what they're really talking about is trying to hold on to who you are right now, rather than letting go of that perception of yourself, that understanding of yourself, that feeling about who you are, and go to your next level. So you only start feeling the uncomfortableness when you're still in the process of holding on to the current version of you.
Yeah.
That's what I want to communicate. And you have a choice, whether you want to keep the current version or you want to go to the next version. But if you want to go to the next version, you cannot get there without letting go of the current version. It's impossible. And that's the part that I think if people understand it, it becomes less scary. It's like, what's going on? I'm feeling all this inner conflict. Well, yes, that's because you're beginning the process of shifting to a new way of understanding who you are and what's possible for you to create in the world.
How could people feel more safe to do that? Because it can be scary for people to let go of what they've held on to, their ideas of who they are. Mm-hmm. So what would help people get that feeling of safety and trust?
That's a great question. As you know, I've been creating a series that I started 2 months ago. This weekend, I'm working on a new one of short 6-minute empowerment audios that are hypnotic in nature, because I'm trained 9 years and multiple certifications in NLP, Ericksonian hypnosis. And I'm thinking the one that would be good for everybody listening today, and it's a free gift from me, is you go to consciousmillionaire.com/manifest abundance. And this is a hypnotic audio, 6 minutes long, titled Manifest Abundance. And it starts shifting your internal piece so that who you are is now able to start manifesting more abundance. And as you take that journey, you will just naturally start shifting. But this makes it very safe, because the more times you listen to it, the more times you act on it, the more you will shift. And so you get to choose.
Yeah.
Do you want to listen to it 5 times a day? Do you want to listen to it 1 time a day? How much action do you want to take based upon that 6-minute experience where you start thinking differently about who you are and what's possible and what abundance actually is and how you can manifest it. So you get to choose how fast you take that transition. And my personal motto is trust perfect timing. And I trust that if you get that audio, Manifest Abundance, so it's consciousmillionaire.com/manifest abundance, that you can trust your own intuition as to how fast you're ready to move to your next level of abundance.
Yeah. That's great. And thank you for that for our listeners. And we'll put the link in the show notes. Absolutely. consciousmillionaire.com/manifest abundance. And that is a very helpful tool to just, go along the process. And of course, if people want to go deeper, they can always contact you. But so this has been very, very helpful. A lot of wonderful insight in seeing how we get from maybe where we are to that more abundant place. Now, just to kind of like pivot a little bit, what about other sides of JV, you yourself? So you've talked a little bit about your journey. You alluded to a few things, but what's the side of JV that also finds enrichment and fulfillment outside of Conscious Millionaire? What's part of yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question, because here we are in the middle of this. I don't actually think we're in the middle. I still think we're fairly early into this pandemic. I think there's a lot more coming. Not just this. I think that we may be moving into an era where there will be more and more pandemics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is a one-off kind of event that we're having here. But that said, my summers I'm having to recreate because I typically go camping, but the national park is taking no safety measures, no distancing, no masks, no how you behave in the bathrooms, and someone could sneeze and it could be in air for 3 hours. So I've chosen not to do the camping that I typically do because I don't think it's being handled in a safe way by the national parks. And I'm saying that straightforwardly. So hopefully the national parks rethink what they're doing. Because everybody should be taking some precautions. If you're on trails and you're a foot away from each other, you obviously aren't social distancing, and it doesn't matter that you're outside. So I'm not going to put myself or other people at harm's way. So typically I go camping a lot in the summer, and I go to a lot of concerts, which we all know are basically not happening. So I'm spending more time on open trails by myself, biking. So I'm out in nature because a lot of the gyms are closed. I just received a whole set of bands. So now I'm learning a new way to exercise using bands at home when I was typically going to Orange Theory, 4 or 5 times a week.
Wow.
And because I'm not going to restaurants and I've been to cooking school, I'm cooking all of my own food. And also feel inspired to go explore a plant-based way of life. So over the next 3 months, I'll be moving exclusively to plant-based.
Nice.
And so that'll be a combination of raw and cooking vegetables. And so I'm focused on those kind of things now. But typically, I'm traveling, going to a lot of arts, a lot of concerts, being outdoors, camping this time of year. And, I'm going, well, there's a lot of good that comes from this shift, because if I weren't taking time journaling and meditating and getting inspiration, I wouldn't be moving in the ways that I'm moving.
Yeah.
And so the inspirations wouldn't be coming to me. I'm literally sit around creating new programs for Conscious Millionaire that just come from whenever they come, they're manifesting in my mind and I'm writing them out.
Yes.
And I don't think that would be occurring if there wasn't for this pandemic that's requiring us to utilize our time and space ourselves differently. So I'm utilizing that to my utmost ability.
No, that's beautiful. And I love to hear that you're also very much involved in cooking. I was a raw foodist for a year. So
oh, wow.
I love integrating a lot of those principles into how I eat and nourish my body now. So that's a beautiful thing. And So to sort of like close our conversation, as you're talking about your self-care practices in your journey, like speaking with people or in your own personal life as well, where do you see art playing a role in the lives of the people that you do work with? And
Yeah, I think art is a great question. So I happen to love art. I travel, I go to a lot of museums, I collect art.
mm,
And so I've come to look at life as well, let's take the hypnotic audios that are 6 minutes. So you go, well, it's only 6 minutes. No, 6 minutes can take me hours to craft it,
mm,
hours to really put it together exactly the way I want it. So I think it's going to have maximum impact. I literally look at each one of those as little pieces of art that I'm creating and giving out to the world, because I'm giving them away for free. I'm not charging for them,
yeah.
to impact other people's lives. And then I see everything we do, the work I do with clients, the work that they do with their clients, the transformation that I'm helping them with, the transformation they're helping their clients with. I see all that again, as pieces of art.
Creative practice, yeah.
Yeah, that it's a creative practice.
Hmm.
And it comes out of our souls and connects with other people's souls. And I think that's true whether you're doing strategic planning, or you're looking at processes, or you're looking at the vision of the company. I mean, all those pieces are really about manifesting a different world. And it just takes different parts. You got to do marketing, you got to do sales. They're all integrated. The question that makes it artistic to me is, are we doing this in some kind of an organic way that's all about transformation and changing people's lives and organizations that you work with and the world into a better, higher place?
Hmm.
And if we are, then it is truly an artistic practice. It's
So it
not
sounds like
just
that's,
science, it's
yeah.
art as well.
So it sounds like that transformative element and that like connect the power to connect and inspire at an emotional and spiritual level is sort of how you're defining art, or maybe even the purpose of art.
Well, that's true. And it's also, the podcast. I have over 2,200 episodes. When I start the podcast, I have a very organized way in which I do called the interview flow. But the first 14 minutes, we set it up, but we don't map it all out. I call it an organic conversation, the first 14 minutes of and so I don't know what's going to happen the next sentence. In fact, my interview style, I think everybody develops their own, is I want to know who the person is, but then I'm done. I don't pre-plan that podcast. And in a given day, I may do 6 interviews because we're 6 days a week. I don't know what's going to happen 1 minute to the next on, excuse me. I don't know I don't know what's going to happen 1 minute to the next in that organic interview. And my job is just to guide the process.
Yeah.
And allow it to happen, allow it to unfold. So I look at it as, when we start the podcast, we have a blank canvas, and I and my guest are together going to paint on that canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we're going to paint a really wonderful picture that has a lot of impact and provides a lot of value to the people who are listening to the podcast. That's my goal. But it's a piece of art. Every one of those podcasts is a piece of art. The same thing's true. I get a pre-coaching form, and it tells me what the person's done and how they did on their commitments and what they want to focus on. But then we're going to spend an hour together, and more times than not, it goes places that neither one of us knew it was going to go, because it's an unfolding process. So again, it's a piece of art.
Yeah. Have you had any clients that are more creative in their thinking or in the arts field at all? Or is there a message that you would have for more creative entrepreneurs or artistic entrepreneurs? In the actual,
yes, there is. Because every kind of person who comes to me needs different kinds of work. And usually the work they need is what's not what they are, right? It's the missing piece. So typically the artistic type, the creative type, needs more structure and to stay specific to an outcome, rather than wandering off into the next creative thought, because that's typically their normal thing to do, because it's easy for them to do that, and go, okay, this is what we're going to accomplish this 3 months. This is what we're going to focus on. And so you have your creative thoughts, but the creative thoughts need to go in this direction, as opposed to going down tributaries that are not going to move your business forward, because they need more structure and strategic focus.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. Structure, focus to balance it out. Love it.
Yes. Yeah, it's whatever's missing.
Exactly.
And the people who are very digital and very structured, then I have to work with them to let them be okay being in the moment and not
Mm,
knowing, because they're more comfortable with everything being known and planned.
yes.
But a lot of the real success of business and the synchronicity comes in moments that we don't know.
Yeah.
They're the unknown moments. And so we have to allow for the unknown to occur so synchronicity can come into our lives.
It sounds like everyone has a value add to this process, and it's just about understanding that and then supplementing it, right, with the other side that they might not, they have to develop a little bit more. So,
Yep.
oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, JV. I appreciate it. This
Well,
was so
thank you.
valuable.
It's my honor to be here, and it's my honor to be with you if you're listening today. Again, I want to give you that gift, Manifest Abundance in
Yes.
Hypnotic Empowerment Audio. I'll give that out one more time. Just take it, listen to it as frequently, at least once a day, but as frequently as you feel like you're ready to move forward. You get a lot of inspiration. You can journal. You can get ideas for your business, how you're going to reach out and make more money by making more impact. And that's at consciousmillionaire.com/manifest abundance.
Beautiful. And we will put a link to that.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you.